Okay, so in this video I'm going to be discussing a program called Benefit Street, which has been broadcast in the UK on Channel 4 in recent weeks and months. It's attracted a lot of controversy, and I believe rightly so. I just want to weigh in a little bit about the program itself and also other programs that are similar. Basically, the program features residents in a street in Birmingham, and this street supposedly has a high rate of welfare dependency, hence Benefit Street. But a lot of residents of the street have got quite angry about how they've been depicted, and there's been quite a large public debate over this. A lot of people have alleged that it distorts the reality, both of the street itself and the wider issue. Now, residents of the streets say that the producers have distorted a lot of their situations. They have said that they've picked and chosen what people they feature. They've ignored people who are in paid work, and basically the program's a massive distortion of reality. That's what they're saying. That's not my words, that's what they're saying. There's also been a lot of debate over the program's role in vilifying unemployed people in general. But what I would say is it's not the only program to have done this. If you look in recent years, we've had shows like The Fairy Job Mother, in which case a very vile woman apparently motivates people to get back to work. In reality, she just has a power craze. She enjoys having power over people. She talks down to them in their own house, tells them they're useless, tells them they're lazy, etc. Very vile woman. Then you have Saints and Scroungers, which is maybe a bit more balanced, because the Saints part of it shows people who actually do need help. And then there's the Jeremy Kyle show, which I've made my views on that pretty clear. Kyle calls the unemployed parasites, but as far as I'm concerned, he's the biggest parasite in the country. Disgusting man. Anyway, this actually comes down to some wider issues, which is about the media's role in the vilification of the unemployed at a time when millions of people are struggling. Now, I don't like to talk in terms of the media, but I'm afraid to say in Britain, there's very, very, very few media outlets that don't play some role in this, and it looks like the BBC is really just becoming a mouthpiece for the Department for Work and Pensions when they come out with inflammatory reports that things such as 1 million unemployed found fit to work and things like this, whilst ignoring things such as the woman recently who was in a coma, and yet her family received threatening letters telling them that she was fit to work. This is the sort of thuggish bullying tactics the Department for Work and Pensions uses, and even if that was an honest mistake, as far as I know, they certainly haven't apologised for it. But I'm not so sure it is. I think this is part of a very coordinated, orchestrated drive to scapegoat people, to drive them over the edge. And, you know, the producers of Benefit Street have got on the defensive. They say, oh, we believe this was a fair portrayal, and a lot of people wrote in and complained, myself included. They claim that they think it was a fair portrayal. If it was a fair portrayal of the life of unemployed people in Britain, they would have documented many unemployed people who engage in the voluntary sector. They would have documented the many cases of people who have been accused of benefit fraud when in actual fact it's administrative error. Now, I always say in these videos, I acknowledge that there are people, probably too many people, who are claiming welfare and who abuse the system, and what I mean by that is they're making no real attempt to find work, and they are abusing the system in that sense. It is unfair on taxpayers. It's unfair to manipulate the system in that way, and all around it's wrong. I fully agree with that. It is wrong. They shouldn't do it, and they should be punished. But what angers me is the fact that there's no sense of proportionality here. You know, the amount of money that's lost in welfare fraud is minuscule compared to the amount of money that goes into banking bonuses every year. And it just shows the perverse logic of the Tories' perverse idea of fairness, really. Whatever they say, the Tories support banking bonuses. Now, where is the reality TV to follow bankers around and ask them tough questions about how they condone their huge bonuses? There's been almost no scrutiny of bankers. Yes, there's been a lot of public outrage, but there's been very little actual scrutiny. Bankers have escaped this in a way that unemployed people sure as hell would not, because what they're doing, and what I mean by they, is the establishment. What they're actually doing is trying to divide the public against itself by saying, oh, look at these lazy people, you're working hard, and look at these lazy people who are doing nothing, let's target them for a while. And this is sort of exploitation of the poor, and it's vile. I think it's reprehensible. And the fact that these programs are turned into some sort of entertainment, it's sort of like poverty pornography in a sense, and it makes me sick. But what concerns me is a very large proportion of the public still buy into it. Now, Ian Duncan Smith has claimed that this vindicates his welfare program. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in collusion with the program itself. No ideas, it doesn't vindicate anything of the sort, it just shows you're a very nasty, very populist individual who relies on public scaremongering, on distortion, and on scapegoating. And it's the action of a bullying card. So it doesn't actually prove anything. What is clear is that a lot of people are being targeted by the system in a very unfair way. They're being hounded, being told they're fit to work when they're actually not. And like I said, I acknowledge there are people who manipulate the system, who are fit to work and say they aren't. But there's many others who really are not fit to work, and they're being hounded. Sometimes these are critically ill people, and that's not only very cruel and sometimes the final weeks of their lives, it just demonstrates how callous this government is. I think there's far too many reality TV shows picking on the unemployed. I'd like to see a lot more actually exposing greed in this country, exposing the sort of people that the Tory party protects. And I really strongly believe that the real criminals in this country, the real parasites, such as tabloid editors and the banking elite, yes, they're all unpopular, but they still get away with anything. They haven't been pressured by the media the way they should be. They haven't been put under the spotlight in the same way that unemployed people have. The simple reality is unemployed people, a lot of them are simply not in a position to defend themselves. It is true that a lot of these people don't have the education to be able to coherently defend themselves. So I honestly believe that what the producers are doing, they're cards, actually. I know that's a strong word to use, but the reason why I use it is because they're picking on people who cannot defend themselves. You know, if the producers of that show would then make a second series exposing bank bonuses, then maybe I'll say, okay, you're being fair, you show them the whole picture. But by focusing on one street in Birmingham and then saying, oh, this is the status quo of the whole nation, now they deny that that's what they're trying to do, but it's pretty clear it's what they're trying to do. They know it's not the reality, they know it doesn't represent the whole nation, but nevertheless it makes good entertainment to bash the unemployed. So I think it's shameful, and I really am sick of programs like this. The Jeremy Kyle show, well, I hate it completely, but the other shows are specifically about the unemployed issue. But the Jeremy Kyle show is run by a despicable vulture who, in my opinion, is the biggest parasite around. He feeds off the emotional turmoil of his guests. He calls them parasites and benefit scroungers whilst he bribes them with money to appear on the show. This is pretty hypocritical. Also, Kyle likes to make himself out to be a role model citizen and a saint. He's an enormous ego. He believes he's above criticism. Basically, he's a vile, repulsive little man, and I hate him. I actually do despise him, and everyone like him. So that's all I really have to say on this. But what I'm arguing is that I'm not saying there should never be any media focus at all on those who abuse the welfare system, but I'm saying it's grossly disproportionate to some of the other problems in this country, such as the massive gap between wealth and poverty, such as the moral perversion that is banking bonuses, such as the criminal tabloid press. Now, why is it that there aren't reality TV shows hounding tabloid editors outside their houses? Why is it there's not reality TV shows putting the likes of forget the new editor of The Sun. It was Dominic Mohan, but he's been replaced just by another scumbag, I believe. To be an editor of The Sun, you have to put on your CV, I am a scumbag, because there's no such thing as an editor of The Sun with a moral compass. They're all vile, repulsive people as far as I'm concerned. And they are. The Sun is not a newspaper, it's a criminal enterprise. And anyway, I'm going off on a tangent, but I'm not saying that there should never be any focus on those who abuse the system. What I'm saying is it's massively disproportionate to some of the other problems in this country, and I believe it's deliberately distorting the overall picture. The fact is, many unemployed people do not want to take money from the state. They want to work. They want a normal life. So all programs like this do is reinforce stereotypes, distort the overall picture, and then have the audacity to say they're trying to help people. It's disgusting. Rant over.